newspaper reviewer Bayo Teobi is in the studio. Good morning, Bayo.
Thank you, Juma. Good morning. Good to see you. Good morning, Kinsley.
Bayo, good to see you as
Thank
well.
you. Good morning, Nigeria.
That's right.
Kinsley, is that?
Well, you begin. I was here yesterday.
Okay, let's begin with the Nation newspaper. Kinsley is not awake, fully awake yet. Well, let's begin with the Nation newspaper. Just above the masthead, we have EFCC detains ex-Kwara governor over 9 billion naira probe. You find all that details on page 6. 17 killed in Plateau, Benue, Rivers, Delta, Abia attacks. That's on page 4. Inflation down to 18.12%. 6 vehicles burnt as gunmen attack Enugu INEC office. Buhari extols Okala at 70. You find details on page 33, page 5, and page 39. Just below the masthead, we have governors seeking state police restructuring now 23. PDP headsmen call for power devolution bill. ACF endorses ban on open grazing. And Labour shuts down Kaduna with riders. Aviation rail workers join strike. El-Rufai, its sabotage. Governors caution NLC. IGP deploys special team. And the picture story we see there, Kaduna state workers protesting the retrenchment of over 45,000 civil servants and anti-labor policies by the state government yesterday. University of Jos, professor husband abducted. They've been abducted. You find details on page 4. Minister, anti-government 476 online sites running. You find all that on page 8. Lawan's anti-restructuring outburst upsets senators. With riders, angry lawmakers to challenge Senate President. Executive session holds today. You find all the details on page 5. At the bottom plate of the Nation newspaper, $2 billion needed yearly to kit armed forces, says DHQ. Details on page 7. Plateau Council poll for October. You find all that on page 39. Kinsley?
All right, let's take a look at the front page of the Punch newspaper from above the name flag right to the foot of the front page itself. Some foreigners don't need NIN for SIM registration. That's according to the NCC. Some foreigners don't need NIN for SIM registration. NCC, page 20. Jusun strike stalls Mena, Deziani, Wadume, and others trial. PDP governors back southern counterparts, demand state police and restructuring. Federal government must stop foreign killer headsmen from Nigeria. That's according to ACF, Arawa Consultative Forum. Lead story says, INEC meets security chiefs as burnt officers rise to 21 with 2 riders. Meeting with security agencies holds after Wednesday's parley with REX, that's resident electoral commissioners. 2023 poll budget may rise, and commission plans to replace attacked facilities. And you see the photographs there with the headline, says El-Rufai alleges sabotage as NLC strike grounds Kaduna. See the placards they are carrying there. There's a play on the governor's name. El-Rufai comes out as El-Rufai. El-Rufai alleges sabotage as NLC strike grounds Kaduna. Plateau fixes local government poll for October. Oshibajo disowns group pushing alleged 2023 presidential agenda. Cannabis will aid our industrial drive and boost IGR. That's according to a rep spokesman. That's page 28. Kwara ex-governor Ahmed faces EFCC interrogators over alleged 9 billion naira scam. Police go after Unit Jos prof and husband's kidnappers. Page 5. Inflation drops marginally. Experts counsel federal government on security. Bayo.
Thank you, Kinsley. Let's start with the reports about Kaduna, where the Nigeria Labour Congress shut down train station at Rigasa, the airport, the hospitals, and countless filling stations. The state was declared by NLC over what Labour says is anti-Labour policies of the Kaduna State government. Kaduna State Secretariat that houses about 10 ministries was shot earlier in the day. Officials of different workers' groups enforced the shutdown. The Kaduna State NLC chairman, Comrade Ayuba Suleiman, addressed members of affiliated union before the protesters took the streets to enforce no work in Kaduna. NLC president joined the protest, and he said 4,000 workers sacked in the state suburb, and another 11,000 are currently penciled down for sacking. He said there is no retreat and there will be no surrender until NLC demands that the reversal of the sacked workers. Governor Nasiru El-Rufai says that the conditions that compelled it to right size are not altered by the NLC campaign. He described as economic and social sabotage the action of NLC. And he says that NLC showed that in 2017, it had no interest of public welfare when the 21,780 failed teachers were removed, but Kaduna State government replaced them with 25,000 qualified ones. Meanwhile, Abubakar Gumi Market, which was locked earlier in the day for fear of attacks, was opened later in the day. So also was part of the state secretariat. But residents have begun to react. So one was quoted as saying, well, it hasn't been easy, but as the saying goes, nothing good comes easy. I just hope that government and LSE reach agreeable terms for the benefit of Kaduna residents. Another said, no water, no light, no movement. This is difficult. A third one went philosophical. He says, sometimes leaders take hard decisions that are popular, but that are not popular, but are necessary. It is better to engage and see other people's point of view, and it's a way to utilize excess workforce than get everybody in distress. Well, the daggers are drawn in Kaduna, and we hope they'll come to the round table because it's not doing anybody good. 2 police officers were murdered yesterday, suspected by militants that burned down a police station at Apu Miri. This is at Ubam Kala police station in Umuahia. Reports indicate that the government, suspected to be militants of the proscribed IPOB, attacked the station in early hours of the Monday. And again, it's the same pattern that has been used all throughout the attacks in the southeast and the south-south. Security experts say that between January and May this year, as a number of 57 attacks has been registered in the southeast and the south-south, with security personnel, mostly policemen, killed. Others include soldiers, custom personnel, and members of the Civil Defense Corps. During the attack at Uzuakole police station, dynamite and rocket-propelled launchers were said to have been used to burn down the station. Similarly, there has been concern by the Independent National Electoral Commission over attacks at its offices. The Enugu State headquarters of INEC was under fire, and it's the 21st INEC office to be burnt or attacked in 2 years. INEC is expected to meet this week with the head of security agencies to seek an end to attack its offices. 4 of the offices that have been attacked in recent times were from Akwa Ibom, 3 in Abia, 2 each in Anambra, Imo. Between February and May this year, the 7 INEC offices have been attacked in Borno, Kano, Jigawa Plateau. Others are Ondo, Ebonyi, and Rivers State. Governors elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party have supported their southern counterparts in demanding for state police and also restructuring of the federation. In a 6-point communique issued after their meeting at Ibadan, the communique was presented by the governor of Sokoto, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, and he supported the ban on open grazing. He said they called upon the president to immediately send an executive bill to the National Assembly to seek to devolve powers to the states, especially to include for security and state police. The president is also enjoined to summon an immediate meeting of the Nigeria Police Council to evolve and implement strategies to combat the threat in our nation. The president chairs the police council and governors are also members. They also agree that police is the appropriate entity to secure democracy, and therefore they should not be subjected to personal or official attacks. They said the welfare, training, and equipping of security should be the priority of government. The governors also, while supporting ban on open grazing, called for the adoption of ranching as a solution to herders-farmers clashes. There is this other report you read about the former governor of Kwara State. Abdul Fattah Ahmed has been honored invitation by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He's been questioned over funds that were said to have been taken between 2011, when he was Commissioner for Finance, and 2012 to 2019, when he served for a 2-term as governor of Kwara State. The questioning is said to have continued, but Wilson Uwajiren, who is the spokesman for the AFCC, confirmed that.
Okay. Well, the Kaduna situation is very, very, sort of disturbing. The whole town has been shut down. You can't pass through Kaduna, the trail tracks, aviation. What's going on?
Well, NLC said they were going to shut down Kaduna, and I think they are carrying out their threat. There's a strike. The question to ask is, if you strike, must you compel everybody to abide by your will? If you are fighting what you describe as one impunity, must you impose another impunity on the society? If I don't belong to NLC, I have a freedom to move and go anywhere. But when you get places shocked and you force people to lock offices, and that is not good in a democracy. Yes, you have a right to protest, but you don't have any right to force others to comply by your will. That, I think, is what detracts. There's no gainsaying the fact that they have a cause they believe in, and the Kaduna State government also has its cause. The best solution is for the two parties to come together for the sake of the people of Kaduna State. At the end of the day, you throw people in blackout. I pay for electricity, I don't owe, and all of a sudden, I found that I'm in a blackout, I can't benefit from what I have paid for. Why? Because NLC is on strike. It has a grouse, not with the Electricity Corporation, but with the Kaduna State government that has nothing to do with electricity supply. So these are the nuances.
If you are employed in the private sector and you belong to a union, and that union is affiliated to the NLC, and NLC says stop work, so you also paralyze the operations of your employer. So I raised the issue of privity yesterday. So what is the key issue? Is the NLC or is Labour asking for the reinstatement of the workers who have been disengaged in Kaduna, or the payment of their entitlements upon disengagement? What is the issue? If you ask the Kaduna State government to say reinstate the workers, and the government says, okay, we will reinstate the workers, month in, month out, the workers are owed, what will you do? You go back on another strike? I mean, was it a knee-jerk reaction by the Kaduna State government to say, look, we are disengaging some 4,000 workers? There's no question about it, and the NLC sometimes doesn't even address this, that we have instances of overstaffing in our public service, local government level, state level, and the federal level. It's a critical issue. And when you look at the annual recurrent expenditure of these tiers of government, you just find that a greater percentage of our budget at these levels is going to service on just servicing. Salaries. And then what is the productivity? What is the productivity? What do you get in return for this? You just load people onto a service. What do you get for it?
Some don't even go to work.
Honestly, I mean, these are more fundamental issues. I'm sure that these matters will come to a head at some point. But just before we let you go, because we have two issues to discuss today, there's a headline here: cannabis will aid our industrial drive and boost IGR. That's according to the rep spokesman, Honorable Benjamin Kalu. He was speaking in Akure, Ondo State capital. It's an issue we have often not confronted as a country. At some point, the governor of Ondo State himself, Rotimi Akeredolu, SAN, had raised the point, but he was drowned out. Each time you hear about reports of persons with hard drugs being arrested, some of them are cannabis farmers. They say there were several kilograms of cannabis. Cannabis has been legalized in a number of countries in the Americas and in Europe.
For medical.
And for medical purposes. And some of these countries are actually growing cannabis under greenhouse conditions. Now, I understand I'm not a smoker. I don't have a cannabis farm. But I hear that the cannabis that is grown in our environment here is one of the best.
One of the most potent.
Yeah, in terms of potency. So the issue to do will be to say, look, how do we organize farmers? How do you regulate them so that it doesn't, I know that the concern will be, oh, there might be abuse or use X, Y, Z. How do you organize? A number of African countries are already getting into commercial production of cannabis. I remember in Zimbabwe in the 80s, cannabis is called Mbanje. There's an area, Wange, that is towards Victoria Falls, where the thing is growing. It's taken as a way of life. You know, there was a campaign against the use of Mbanje because people were taking it and then, of course, going crazy. But now there's commercial farming of cannabis. How do we organize ourselves so that you have a proper cultivation, proper harvesting, proper trading and export?
Proper packaging.
Packaging and export. Not to say, no. Sometimes I understand the thing grows wide in different parts of the country.
In fact, in some parts of Nigeria, particularly around the southwest and parts of the south-south, it is grown widely in the forest. But each time it is spotted, the NDLEA will go there and destroy it all. Because the position, as far as the law is concerned, cannabis is an illegal product that is not supposed to be allowed. And the appropriate persons to tackle it is the honorable that has raised it.
Yes.
From the perspective of legislation, unless there's legislation to change that status, then that is when we can begin to exploit the advantages that cannabis will bring. But there was this other story that Jumai read about 47 online sites. Yes, the Honorable Minister has drawn attention to about 476 online sites that have been created to peddle fake news. And if that is true, it is very worrying because he says the purpose of the fake news is to discredit and fight the federal government. He says owners of the sites were feeding gullible readers and making fake news on viral. And by some coincidence, the Catholic Church called on, in fact, it was the pontiff who raised the issue. Pope Francis had called attention to the value of the internet. He's saying that the Pope warned that people must be responsible for what they put out there.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm sure that this is an issue that's going to come up some other time, so we'll have an opportunity of focusing on it. For today, we'd like to appreciate your being around.
Thank you very
See you again
much.
tomorrow. It's Good Morning Nigeria. We're live on NTA's network service. We'll take a short break now. When we're